Well, what's wrong with the government using spyware? What's wrong with the government using Pegasus? These were observations, words that fell from the highest court of the country, the Supreme Court of India. But why exactly did the judges say that? What's the context of it all? What is the implication and what is the road ahead looking like as far as use of spyware, as far as Pegasus is concerned? We'll try to answer some of these questions. First up, the context of it all. Now, bear in mind that there were allegations raised by various members of civil society. Petitions were moved before the highest court of the country. The allegation was that the centre is using spyware. The NSO made Pegasus spyware for spying on citizens of the country. So whether that's judges, politicians, journalists, members of civil society, the allegation was that they're being snooped upon. Now it is in pursuit of these allegations that the matter came before the Apex Court. In 2021, it had directed a detailed investigation. It had constituted an expert committee. That expert committee, importantly, came out with a detailed 3-part report, which up until now has not been made public. Now, it is in pursuit of that the hearing was called today. Once again, the petitioners making a feverish pitch for ensuring that the details of that report, at least the redacted version of that, is made public, and if not public, at least to the petitioners who raised these concerns about their devices being snooped upon. Now, what's important is that the Supreme Court, while hearing this petition today, said and questioned rather, what's wrong with the government using spyware? What's the issue with it? Asking that rhetorical question to the petitioners. What the Supreme Court said is that what is critical is who that spyware is being used upon. And there the Supreme Court went on to say that there can be no compromise with national security, and said that if, however, there is a case of civil society members being snooped upon, then that is an issue that the Apex Court, who is willing to entertain, is willing to look into. Now, all of this began when the petitioners moved the Apex Court this morning. They argued that there is an urgent need felt for disclosing of the findings of that technical committee, especially of that expert committee. What the petitioners said is that there is new evidence which the Supreme Court now needs to appreciate. What is that new evidence? Well, the petitioners argued that in 2024, that is when a US District Court had come out with a judgment which had upheld the allegations raised by WhatsApp that NSO, the maker of Pegasus, had been using WhatsApp servers for infecting and for intercepting devices, as many as 1,400 of them. This, as per the petitioners, is new evidence that the Supreme Court was not aware of, that the expert committee was not aware of, that the Supreme Court now needs to consider, and that, importantly, this serves as evidence that Indian devices were also hacked. This was a claim that was made by the petitioners. Now, what's important, however, is that at the very outset, the government, represented by the Solicitor General, made its position clear that there is no two ways about not disclosing that report. The centre does not want this report to be disclosed, saying that it will affect the security and the sovereignty of the country. And that is an argument that appears to have struck a chord with the Apex Court. The Supreme Court observing that given the current context, and that being a reference to the geopolitical tensions that we're seeing post the terrorist attack in the country and then the subsequent geopolitical tensions, the Supreme Court observed that given the current context, perhaps there needs to be certain responsibility exercised in terms of national security and observation. But nonetheless, the Supreme Court had made it abundantly clear that it is open to the idea of considering whether or not at least a redacted version be made available to the petitioners in person. But that came with a caveat, the Supreme Court saying that at no point should this result in a street conversation. That should not happen, that this should be an informed, a more responsible conversation. That's the message that the Apex Court is looking to send out. But nonetheless, the Supreme Court willing to hear the petitioners on disclosure of the expert committee findings. That hearing will take place on July 30th.
Make informed decisions with comprehensive analysis on the go.
Strengthen your portfolio with real-time market updates on the go. Create effective strategies with insightful expert opinions on the go.
Grow on the go with CNBC-TV18, now streaming live 24/7 on YouTube.
For more news and updates, all you need to do is follow CNBC TV18 on all of our digital platforms.